Hi guys, welcome to Project Sweet, Loud, Untamed Tarts, or as we know it, Project
Slut. 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 I'm a slut.
Project Slut, the show that educates and entertains all things sex in an inclusive and positive way. Let's put power back into being a slut and fight back slut shaming with your host, Lavi.
Today I'm going to be sharing a little secret with you. A little secret that I have been keeping to myself. And at this point, I feel obliged to share it with you all. I've never really been one to buy sex toys for myself. I have bought toys to use with partners, but I've never really been surrounded by other women who bought vibrators or spoke about self-pleasure or any of that. And so I never really looked into it myself. And once I bought a bullet vibrator, something really cheap, and it never really did anything, never really helped. So my journey into vibrators quickly ended. Fast forward a few months and I met some women through socials who were starting a company called Girls Unhinged. They were female focused, sex positive, and all round empowering. And I thought, cool, these are women and a business I want to collaborate with. And not long after, they sent me their first product to try out myself. And now you're probably thinking, okay, I met some girls, I got a product. What's the secret? I use this product and, well, I can honestly say I have never orgasmed so hard from any human being or device in my entire life. I use the product so often that I had to physically throw it across my bedroom so I wouldn't find it anymore. I would stop using it and snap back to reality. Truth is, I think like a few days later I had to go searching for it. The product that Girls Unhinged released was called the Black Widow Vibrator, and it has been the best addition to my sex life. And although it's my little secret, it's about time I share it with you all. So in this episode, you'll get to hear from the girls who changed my life with their sex toy. You'll also get to hear a male's perspective on using vibrators in the bedroom, and of course your weekly dose of horror stories. All that coming to you now. Tell me about yourself and how you got started and what you do for a living and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, cool. Jade. I'll just go with my first name. Won't give my whole name. Yeah.
Okay, so Jade. Yep.
At the moment, I'm a trainer and assessor, so still in Rail, which is where me and Megan met up north.
Yeah.
But just down in Perth. So it's good, but it's very intense and kind of stressful.
All right. So I'm Megan, the other partner to GU, which has been really, really fun this far. Probably pretty similar to Jade, but we started GU to create more of a community for everybody. For me personally, a lot of the thought process behind GUs come from, I guess, probably negative experiences with my career in mining and things like that.
So when you say negative experiences, do you want to elaborate a bit on that? Yeah.
I just feel like in 2022 we maybe feel like we've come a little bit further than we really in terms of being inclusive and diverse in the workforce. And we speak about a lot of different groups in society, but I still think that women are very much a minority in a lot of those workforces. And I think we've lost focus of that when we've moved on to maybe bigger and better things.
Yeah.
But I still think women have been left behind.
Where did the idea for GU come from, and where did it kind of start? That bit of a backstory.
Mm-hmm. Probably when Jade and I were together on the same work crew, and we're having a pretty bad day, and we just needed an outlet to vent, and we didn't feel like we had that in a workspace. We were very fortunate to have each other, but then it got us thinking, if we didn't have each other, who would we be speaking to right now? Probably nobody, just bottling up our emotions and going back to our donga a little bit depressed. GU for us was, we know we've released our toy, but about creating that community from a social aspect, but also hopefully in the long term to help people in those situations.
Well. Yeah. So GU is not just a sex toy company.
No, definitely.
So what
not.
is GU?
First look, people will assume we're just trying to set up a small business that sells sex toys.
Yeah.
But the whole start for us is women empowerment. We want to create that community for everyone to kind of come together. we want to share our experiences. We want to hear about other people's experiences.
GU is about empowering women to do what makes them feel good, and if that's a sex toy, which we have now being our Black Widow, then that's fantastic. But if not, we'll have other inclusive products and other things that you're able to do. I guess creating safe places for women to speak up as well, and know that they can feel confident and do things that might be different to the woman next to them, and that's perfectly okay. Like, it's not about being the same, it's about just doing what feels good for you.
Have you struggled to kind of talk about sex and be so open with your social media and being so public about this?
Me, probably not. I think I'm probably a little bit too open.
No, I mean, there's literally nothing wrong with being so open.
I think my everyday job is very different to our love project, being GU. I think I have to be careful about what I say on my social media, being the fact that I'm public on my personal page as well as GU, but I don't feel bad for what I'm saying.
Of course not. I mean, why would you feel bad? You're doing something really, future forward?
Yeah.
People are moving forward. You know, you started with the Black Widow product. How did that kind of come about, and how did it start, and what was the kind of process of getting it from the idea to the market?
Our sex lives.
Yeah.
And then we kind of got into talking about toys, and we were like, one of the interesting things is in past relationships we were with people that weren't really big on introducing sex toys into the bedroom.
Yeah.
And then the people we're with now, they were a lot more open-minded with it, and we were like, but it's clunky with some of the toys we had. So we were like, can we find a smaller one that's not going to sound like you're power drilling into a wall when you're using it, and it can feel like
that power drilling into a wall.
It's so loud, some of them. And we kind of started researching that. Well, what if we did our own toy? So that kind of cascaded from there.
So the design and how we wanted it to work was, I guess, based on previous experiences with other sex toys being really bulky and in the way. So
when you say bulky in the way, you want to give us, you said you're open, so I'm going to push you here. Tell us about that.
I think a lot of sex toys that are on the market that are like marketed towards women to use by themselves, marketed towards women, you have to use them by yourself, because they're too bulky to use during sexual intercourse. So, a lot of the clitoral stimulators that I had used in the past, you couldn't use them with a partner unless you were in some real weird, awkward position and completely out the way. So ours is able to be used because it's so little and sleek. You can use it, missionary, be using the clitoral stimulator as well. So it's good for him, good for you, and you can both enjoy, go about your sex life and be happy. Everything else was quite bulky and we didn't like that. Like, you had to use it by yourself.
Do you have plans on bringing more products, and like what kind of products do you feel like you're going to kind of launch on GU?
I think our next round of products are going to be more maybe health focused.
Health focused? What do you mean by health focused?
So at the moment we've got obviously the Black Widow. We would like our next couple of products to be complementary to that, but not necessarily sexual. So you can use them with our Black Widow. If you've got it, it'd be great. If you don't have the Black Widow, then it's an affordable product to be able to use for other things, or even to use during sex to make it a little bit more interesting and sensual, rather than it's about the experience, I think, rather than just like bam wham, thank you ma'am, and you're out of there. 5 minute sex and you're done. Like, it's about that experience.
Does part of your job that you get to like experiment and use all these different things? Like, do you have like a little notepad in your bed, like 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10 wasn't great, partner blacked out, like
I think the boys are absolutely loving it. They're like, we could not have picked a better profession for you girls.
So GU's like women empowerment and has a lot of different aspects to it. For people who let's say for example like a man, they looked at something like GU and they're like, oh, what is this? What kind of crap is this? We get like shit like that. Yes. I mean, I've seen you guys post on socials, like you get some shitty people.
We do.
What's it like dealing with people who are just clearly not on a good spectrum?
I had a really interesting situation like this. We were out at a picnic with like a group of friends for Australia Day. They're all lovely people, and one of the guys, we were just talking about the business, and one of the guys goes, how are you going to market it to men? And one of the girls there goes, it's not for men. And I was like, thank you. Like, it is not for men. We're not marketing it to you. But it's great if you want to get one for your partner. Yeah, like, go for it.
I mean, do you ever get guys kind of saying more things like that to you guys?
Yeah, so I've had quite a few. When we first launched, and we put it on our personal pages, which was, I was quite scared to do that. I had a guy message me just like the laughing, crying emoji face.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was like an older guy as well. And then I had another guy jump in and whinge that sex toys are going to take over and women...
Take over what? I'm sorry.
Apparently men.
Men?
Yeah.
They already have. Like, that's
I know.
that's not...
Yeah.
It's already happened.
And he started to like have a sad about that in the conversation. And I was like, look, if a woman is choosing a toy over a man, just let her have her toy.
Yeah.
But don't be scared to bring it into the bedroom as well. It's like they're intimidated by a sex toy.
I don't know why though. It's not that I feel like if you're a man and you want to satisfy a woman, it shouldn't emasculate you that you need help. Like,
No.
it's a hard thing to make a female orgasm. Like, I wouldn't...
It isn't easy.
It's not easy. It's not like guys, you know, they just stick it in one pump and they're done. It's hard. And I mean, it's nothing wrong with admitting that, like, you know, women find it, you know, harder to orgasm, and then you bring the toy. It's kind of just helping.
Yeah. And I always thought I was really... I think this is what was great as I got older, talking about sex with girlfriends more. I always thought there was something wrong with me because I couldn't orgasm just from penetration. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. And then finding out, no, a lot of my girlfriends experience the same thing, and then being able to chat about toys and bring them into the bedroom is great.
Yeah. Do you still find it a bit awkward or a bit hard to talk about this sort of thing online on like your personal page and like on the social media and
I
stuff?
do, yeah. I'm still trying to... I think that's my own self-confidence issues that I'm dealing with though. Yep. Eventually I'll break through. Megan's very encouraging. She's always trying to hype me up.
I mean, as you would, but I mean, it's a scary thing because I mean, even myself, I find it hard to like post on my own social media.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm passionate about. But it's just that fear because you don't know what people are going to say.
Yeah,
and you know you shouldn't think about what other people say, but it's still one of those things. It's like, no, I'm still going to care about a little bit what people say. It's being your side business and obviously being, you know, sex based and like our society being the way it is, still a bit, you know, I'd say like Perth we're getting there, but we're quite still like closed off. Do you find it quite difficult to kind of, you know, launch a product or like even a business that is based around female pleasure and all that sort of stuff?
I think it's been good in that we've been able to meet other like-minded people like yourself, and there's loads of other women out there trying to actually break that stigma that we weren't aware of before. I think the hardest part has been the fact that when people hear female empowerment and a sex toy, they're like, how is a sex toy empowering women? Like, there's still that stigma around, it's just like men should be able to use that, number one, and number two, like, how is that empowering a woman, the sex toy? So
how do you find that, in like your own words, that sex toys, especially, you know, the products that you guys have kind of designed, empower women?
Like I said, I think it's about the experience, and that it's, even if you don't orgasm, like, that's okay. It's about just that enjoyable experience. And if you have a hard day at work and come home and want to use the toy for like 5-10 minutes to de-stress, and not like there's no climax at the end of that, like you enjoyed it and you release some stress, like, then that's fine. But if it's also taking a bath with some candles, that's cool too. Like, it's that balance.
I'm sorry, I haven't actually used the Black Widow in the bathtub now, and I'm thinking it's waterproof, right?
It absolutely is.
Love a good waterproof toy. I mean, I think about it and I'm like, you know, I think one of the problems is that like masturbation, especially for females, is still like, we don't talk about that. Yeah. And then when more we talk about it, it's like, okay, cool. Then what do we use to masturbate with? Let's get these toys. I mean, for me personally, I don't know about you guys, like toys really help. Yeah. I mean, having long fingernails literally sucks.
Yeah.
But I mean, then when you get your toys, it's just like, oh, this is cool. Exactly. Like this helps. And I think it's so funny as well, like with female masturbation. I think the other day I was just telling someone like, oh, I couldn't sleep. I was just trying to masturbate and still didn't work. And they're like, you girls do that? I'm like, yes. Yeah, yes, we do. Like, it's a lot of people do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you ever get guys saying anything like that to you, like, or even just women? Do you get any kind of comments or just like criticisms?
From women, it's normally like, oh my god, I thought I was the only one. Like,
how many times do you ever get like, oh my god, that's me too?
Yeah. So from women, it's like, it's a positive experience. From blokes, I think it's, still, oh my God, do women do that? Like, what do you mean you wank before you go to bed? And they're like, oh, it's not just you, party, it's not just a man party.
Where do you guys kind of see yourself going from here, like from this kind of point up?
So we're kind of slowing down on bringing in another toy. We want to go with a few more inclusive products. But I think what we would love to do is eventually the future for us is having like GU socials. So we would love to have people that follow us and just people that we know like getting together to catch up, because we know like we've had a few young mums inbox us and they talk about, you know, I don't really have much of a social life anymore, or people that have dropped their toxic friends and they would love to meet new people. So I think that's what we would really love to focus on next.
Yeah, I mean, I would love having more girlfriends that are more open with talking about sex.
Yeah.
When I first got your product, I think after like a week or so, I actually like threw it across my room to hide it. And no, this is like dead ass. I'm not even kidding. And then a friend of mine, he was like, "Oh, hey, so where's this? Like, where's the product that you bought? Like you were telling me about? Like, do you want to bring it? Like, let me see it."
Yeah.
And I looked around. I was like, "Oh fuck, I don't remember where I threw it." And he's like, "You threw it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because I kept using it so much."
Keeping me awake.
No, literally, like I just kept using it, and so I was just like, you know what? Like I just need to stop. Like I'm not doing anything else right now. Threw it, so I couldn't find it in my room. And then when he was just like, "Where is it?" I was like, "Oh shit, I actually have to find it in my room now."
Before you realise you haven't left your house in like 4 weeks due to ISO and you've just been jerking off the entire time.
So do you know what we're talking about Today?
Yes. Yeah. We are talking about vibrators and sex toys, right?
Yeah. Do you know? Yeah. So we are featuring Girls Unhinged on this episode.
Yes.
And they gave me a sex toy, and it was actually quite nice. And I've heard you've also used the Black Widow vibrator in your own sex life. And so I thought, hey, why not get a male's perspective on using a vibrator?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I quite like using the Black Widow with my partner, obviously not myself.
I mean, okay, so like before you kind of give us, your experience with the Black Widow, used a lot of vibrators or any sort of, clitoral stimulator toys in the bedroom?
Yep, so I have used 2 different types of sex toys, or actually 3 different types of sex toys previously. One of them being a cock ring.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, Satisfyer Pro.
Oh, yeah, that Satisfyer Pro is a pretty popular brand.
Yeah, it is. However, if I could critique one thing about the Satisfyer Pro cock ring, is that it's very bulky.
Yeah, I've seen them before. They're quite chunky.
Yeah, they're very chunky. They take away quite a bit of your cock away.
So it's not dick friendly?
Unfortunately not. It is quite sturdy, very tight. Oh my god. Trying to put it on.
Do you know my Satisfyer Pro connects to my Spotify?
I heard about those ones. Pretty cool, hey?
It's just not something that cracks the top 20 things I look for when buying a sex toy. Connects to Spotify is just really not one of them.
Well, so you can play your sex tunes and like have it vibrating accordingly?
Essentially, yeah, that's what it does.
And what's the next thing? They're going to bring out lights and neons?
Probably. Have a rave inside. So, how would you rate the kind of tools that you were using beforehand?
So they're quite similar to I don't know how to describe it, like a dildo vibrator. So it's like a dildo,
like
but it vibrates. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's vibrating dildos. The reason why they're okay to use they're okay.
How have you found using the Black Widow compared to the other sex toys that you've used in the past?
I quite like using the Black Widow. Very unique shape. When I first...
Can you kind of describe for the people who haven't actually seen the Black Widow, which I will be chucking some photos and images on later.
Definitely. So the best way I can describe it is the Nintendo Wii nunchuck controller. So once you upload those photos,
now that I know,
and now that I've mentioned that, you just can't take that
out
of your mind. Yeah, with this unique shape, it's got that suction tip at the end that is meant to stimulate the clitoris, right?
Yeah.
So because it's small and so it's easy to handle, you're able to still penetrate your partner while using it to stimulate her clit, which makes her come very quickly. And when she comes pretty quickly, I get to come quickly too.
What advice would you give to any guys out there who may be a little bit afraid to, go and explore and maybe buy a vibrator for themselves to use with their partner or even just bring up with their partner?
What advice I would give? My advice would be, hey guys, just drop the ego.
Drop the ego?
Your schlong is whatever inches. It may not be enough. Right, so...
speaking of the Black Widow, how would you recommend that to our listeners?
Guys, if you're listening to this is one vibrating tool that you need. I'd recommend that to everyone starting, from people who are just getting into sex toys to people who've had plenty of sex toys. It's a great stimulant. I quite like the little suction cup thing at the end. Sometimes I get to play around with it too, like with my finger, obviously.
Just with your finger?
Yeah. I mean, it's really small. I mean, you can't really do much with it with your male genitalia.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been really nice having you on here today.
Thank you so much.
It's that time again. 4 stories direct from your local working gals.
So I had a very juicy weekend.
Oh, I love juicy weekends.
Yes, love that. So a friend of mine reached out to me and said, hey, what are you up to? Did you want to come round? Really keen on doing a little bit of a dom sesh.
Oh, okay. So is this the first time you've seen this guy or this friend of yours in this kind of way?
Yeah. So the friend of mine has always had a bit of an interest in the BDSM kink kind of scene. Yeah. And, I've spoken about female dominatrix a little bit with him, and he was like, look, I'd be keen to try it. I'm pretty nervous about it, but hey, let's give it a shot. So yeah, he came round to my house and I set everything up, So
what did you set up? Tell me about the setup and everything like that. What did you have? What did you have prepared?
So normally I have bed straps, which I always hide under my bed if my parents come up and stay with me, because I usually stay in that bed. So I had my bed straps ready, made sure that, they were a certain length, so not too tight or too constricting.
What are bed straps? Are they just restraints that
They're
you
just
tie?
Restraints,
so you tie the person to the bed with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it can be a mixture. It can be either a rope or it could be some form of a Velcro kind of style material. So really whichever is going to keep them restrained the best. Because they're not meant to be moving.
They're not meant to be. Okay.
No.
All right. So you had your restraints and, go on.
Yep. And I also had a paddle. I also have a wax candle too, which I tend to use for a little bit of, a bit of fun. And so just restraints, candles, a bit of a feather. You might say a feather duster, so something to kind of tickle.
Tickle his pickle.
Yeah. And just pretty much, got into some full latex. Cute little,
full latex.
Yeah, cute little bodysuit number, extra shiny. So kind of just set the mood and had some tights on. Yeah, loved it.
That's really nice. Okay, so tell me about the session. How did it go? Tell me from when you guys, when you started, how did you kind of get yourself into that headspace? Yeah,
cool. So because it was his first time, we had about 15 to 20 minutes to chat about, his boundaries, what was allowed and what was not allowed. So, that's where the consent comes into play. Yeah. So we can rule out, certain things that he didn't want to do and some things he did want to do, which is why, I did bring out my wax candle, because he does like a little bit of, you might say pain. Yeah. But not to the point where he's, crying out stop, I can't deal with this. Yeah. Secondly, we discussed a safe word. Yeah. If it does get too much.
What was your safe word?
What his safe word was? It was purple.
Purple? Yeah. Okay. I said, that.
I was like, cool, so what's your safe word? What's a word that, you can just say that, we'll just stop. That's the end of the session. He's like, purple. And I'm like, interesting. Why?
Interesting word. Yeah, it is an interesting word. Because I feel like I normally find people use red or yellow.
Yeah.
Yellow, slow down. Red is stop. Mm. But it's purple. It's oh, okay.
Yeah, it was purple. And I said, is that because that's because the colour of your shirt is purple? Is that why you kind of went with purple? And he was like, I think so. Because it's just a bright purple. So I was like, all right, cool. I was like, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. So, after we had a chat and we're both comfortable, I also discussed aftercare, which was really, really important. So after a really, really intense, impact session, it is quite a psychological effect on the brain, both to, the person giving, you might say, service to that person, and then obviously sadist, masochist. So both parties need to be comfortable and both need aftercare afterwards, and it doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes of aftercare, 10 minutes of aftercare. It could be literally, putting them in the shower, making sure that, they've got nice warm water. You could even be in there with them, holding them, And I also have like a bag of like Skittles or like M&Ms to have afterwards, because you do have that really high like adrenaline rush. And then, you know, with certain types of pain, it can, I guess, trigger you a little bit.
Okay.
So like, I guess like your hormone levels and like your serotonin, like dopamine, it can drop quite quickly. So that's why aftercare is important, to kind of bring them back up to reality in a safe way.
So you had your discussion about his boundaries, what he likes, what he doesn't like, his safe word, and then the aftercare.
Yep.
So then you got started, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So how did, like, tell me about it. What did you do? What was the experience like?
Yep. So normally, so what I did was I blindfolded him first. But before I did that, I said, you know, are you okay with me blindfolding you? Are you okay with me, you know, restraining, like putting your hands behind your back?
So
And he
each
said
step of
yes.
this process, you're constantly asking him, is this okay? Is this okay?
Like, is this okay? Because I don't want to do something, you know, where he goes, oh my God, like, nuts.
This is too much.
This is too much for me. So every time I said, cool, like, do you mind if I blindfold you? He said, yes, that's fine. So obviously, you know, his like sense of vision was obviously taken away, so it was more so like, you know, like the feeling, the touch and everything. And yeah, so then I started off with just like a nice little, you know, my little feather duster, just running across his skin, you know, as he was like getting quite relaxed. I got my little whip, gave him a bit of a smack just on his like outer thigh, just to kind of like go, oh, kind of, you know, like that was a bit fun, like kind of wake him up a little bit. And then we did that for a while. After that, I brought a little bit of humiliation into the session as well.
Okay, so how do you bring humiliation into a setting like this?
So because from the start he did say that he did want a little bit of like degrading humiliation, so essentially, you know, making fun of him.
Okay.
So
did he say anything about how to make fun of him, or did he just kind of give you full reins on just make fun of me?
He just said, make fun of me and I'll give you my safe word if it's too much.
Okay.
So I didn't go full like too into it.
What were some of the things that you were saying to him?
So I was using quite a few pet names with him, like, you know, let's say like fuck toy, you know, cock sleeve.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Cock sleeve. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah. And just kind of just words like that. Like I wasn't going, you know, like, oh, you're a piece of shit, like you're a parasite. Like we're not going. That doesn't really fit with what we're doing. And I made him call me, obviously mistress.
Whatever, Mistress Blank.
And whenever he would get my name wrong, I would give him a spank. And every time, that was with a paddle. And every time I would spank him, I would ask him to say thank you. And he would say thank you every time I gave him a smack.
So, I mean, I know you obviously like as a personal context and everything. And so for me to see you be mean to someone is very, I can't even imagine it. Like you're such a sweet person.
Honestly, I didn't think I could do it either.
So when you're in that space, are you completely different to what you are now? Like, so you are hard-assed, like you are 100%. Giving these punishments.
Like I am a bad bitch.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I would love to watch you from like a window one day, because to me in my head,
people actually want to, because they don't believe me. They're like,
it's hard. Like, I mean, if you don't know who like you are as a person, you are like one of the sweetest people I know. It's like Bambi. So it's like Bambi getting a machete and like giving it back to the hunter. Literally, so it's so weird to like see. Things. Okay, so what else did you do during the session? So you've tickled him, you've given him some spanks, you've degraded him.
Yep.
How else did the session go?
So I also have a few collars and leads as well, which I bring in my kit.
Yep.
So I had him walking around on all fours. Essentially, he was like my little pet for about 10 minutes. You know, because I was on my feet all day working, I asked him to be my little footstool. So I just said toy, all fours. So he said, you know, yes, mistress. And then I just put my feet up, had a sip of my wine. You know, went through my phone, had a bit of a look, and
check Snapchat.
Checked the gram, and I said, unless I've given you permission, you are not to speak, and if you do speak, you get another spank. Is that understood? And he said, yes, mistress. So
oh wow, I loved that.
It's honestly, they're like I love doing it, and because I see myself as a switch as well, so like I'm a good submissive, and you know, this is like the whole kind of female dom side is still quite new to me. It's almost like my alter ego.
Oh, yeah.
And I really, really enjoy it. And it's amazing how I can change from like, you know, really sweet, genuine, caring, full of empathy to this completely like hard bitch, like dominant, like you do what I say, like this is my room and like you're in my space, like my power. So it's good.
During the session, is, I mean, the guy that you know, did this with, is he aroused?
100%.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I find it so interesting because I think of it as myself, and even with people like I have been with, I can't imagine calling them names and being really rude to them and them being so aroused by it. It's so interesting. I'm like, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, what the fuck you call me? Like, I would be so offended, but it's so interesting to see people so aroused by things like this.
Yeah, like he definitely got aroused when I called him my fuck toy and who do you belong to.
Ooh.
So I was like, who do you belong to? And he was like, you mistress. I was like, good. And then, so, yeah. It's pretty
Wow.
fun. I know. I get any shivers because I just love it. I actually really, really like doing it.
Do you engage in any sort of like, I guess, traditional sexual acts during these dom sessions, or are these dom sessions just what you're giving, like the dom bits?
So I'm normally like, obviously giving. I'm not really receiving. So, like we didn't, you know, partake in any like sexual acts or anything. It was primarily, you know, impact, humiliation.
Wow.
Just using him as furniture, essentially.
Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, have you had many, like, you know, you've said you've seen this guy a couple of times. Do you find it something that you would probably pursue more, even if it's with this person, if it's with another person, if they were like, oh, you know, I heard you do dom services. Is that something that you would be interested in doing?
Oh, definitely. Like, I honestly find it so exciting, and there's so much more that I could be learning, you know, like I wouldn't say that I'm a professional, you know, like female dominatrix. Like I still have so much to learn.
That's all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed tuning into Project Slut. Stay safe, stay whorish, and we'll see you soon.